At Newark High School in Newark, New York for a showdown of the Finger Lakes East as the Geneva Panthers take their undefeated record into Newark to take on the Newark Reds. Hi everyone and a Happy New Year to you. Brandon Harrington along with Matt Verkey, and a great matchup in the Finger Lakes East tonight as Newark takes on Geneva. And Verk, it's kind of judgment week in the Finger Lakes East this week.
Yeah, we got Geneva comes in undefeated in league play, undefeated overall, taking on a Newark team that has 2 losses in the league, but they're an upper tier team in the league this year. And then Geneva gets to host undefeated Wayne on Friday, and Newark goes 2 Minders this Friday also. So really the top 4 teams in the league all play each other this week. So come Friday night, we're really going to see how the league's shaping up and who's going to be number 1 in the league.
This Geneva team 7-0, 6-0 in the Finger Lakes East, one of 8 undefeated teams in Section 5 right now. And I know it's really been from top to bottom the best team I've seen so far this year, and that includes a pretty good Webster Trader team from Monroe County.
Yeah,
so. I
would agree with you. We called Geneva at Minders, and really Geneva controlled that whole game. Was really impressed with Geneva's depth. We know about Sweeney. He's been doing it for them for 4 years, and he's kind of playing a little different role this year, not quite scoring as much as he used to and shooting as much, but his percentages are all up, and he's really, he's averaging 4 or 5 assists a game, and he's leading this Geneva team, and they're very well balanced. They had Sims coming over from DeSales, who's just been phenomenal for him. We caught him in his first game back. He was great that game, and Geneva's just really been playing well and really just tearing apart the league right now.
And on the other side, the Newark Reds, really a surprise when they open up the season with a 10-point loss at Penn Yan, but they've bounced back, winning 5 of their last 6 games, including 3 in a row by double digits coming into this one.
Yeah, they seem to be getting it together. Early season loss to Penn Yan was a little shocking to everybody around the league probably, but Penn Yan's got some pretty good kids. But Newark's been playing well, and Newark typically is one of the top 1, 2, or 3 teams in the league, and they kind of been down a little bit over the past 2 years after having the state lost in the state finals 3 years ago in Coach Haverhill's first year, and they're looking to make a statement tonight and show that they belong at the top of the league.
Real balanced scoring from Newark. 4 players averaging in double figures, though none of them more than 11.5 per game. They're led by Micah Wright and Anthony Lombardi, a guy who missed almost all of last year with a broken leg, came in and helped the team down the stretch and almost helped them pull up an upset win over Charlotte. Now, if you're Geneva, you have a big matchup with Newark. You've won 4 straight in the series, but you also have that Wayne game staring at you on Friday with the possibility Wayne's playing Whitman today. They should roll in that one.
Yeah.
And so you do worry a little bit as a coach of maybe a little bit of a trap. But you would think with the 2 teams being pretty big rivals in Newark and Geneva that you still get ready for this.
Yeah, I'm sure Coach Miller's talked to him about that. And, I think the whole league and the area residents are looking forward to that game Friday night. But Geneva's got to take care of business tonight if they want that Wayne matchup Friday to mean what it should to everyone. So kind of a trap game maybe for Geneva, maybe looking ahead. But, I'm sure Coach Miller's discussed that with him, and he'll have them ready to come out tonight and play hard.
I made the comment to you before we went on the air that I think the Finger Lakes East is perhaps the most interesting and entertaining league right now in Section 5, because you look at the top 4 teams with these 2 teams here today, and then you throw in Minders and Wayne. I mean, you're looking at 4 teams that could all compete for Section 5 championships.
Yeah, right now in Class A, you got Geneva's the 2 seed, I think, and Wayne's the 3 seed. I believe is Charlotte's on top there.
Charlotte's
so you got
1,
Charlotte 1, Wayne 2, Geneva 3. Then when you drop down, Newark at 5 and 2 is easily the number 2 seed right now in Class B, and that seems like a class that they're going to be able to compete in with Batavia and Newark, the only teams with winning records. And then you got Minders. Minders has 3 losses, but they're all the A schools, and when they get in the sectional play and they start playing schools their size, I really look for Minders to do well out of the Finger Lakes East as well.
Should be a great atmosphere at Newark High School, great tradition when you look at this Newark program. You mentioned the trip to the state championship game 3 years ago with Javon McCray, who would go on to become the freshman player of the year in a pretty good conference in the MAC, and is still putting up great numbers over at Buffalo, a team that almost went to the NCAA tournament last year. And really, you look back over the years, and Newark, if you go back to the open format in 1960, they've been the most winningest program in all of Section 5.
Yeah, just traditionally a great program. They've won so many league titles in the Finger Lakes East. Going back to when I was playing my sophomore and junior year, just unbelievable talent. Coach Saravallo back then did a great job with the program, and that's kind of continued now. They had a 4-year streak there where they didn't lose a game in the league and up until the last couple of years, but just a traditional powerhouse in Section 5, and looking to really get back on track and get back up in the Finger Lakes East and hopefully make a run at a sectional title this year.
11 Section 5 championships and 25 of the last 41 Finger Lakes East championships. That's pretty impressive. It's going to be a good one. Geneva and Newark, the Finger Lakes East. It's Judgment Week. We'll be back with starting lineups and tip-off next on FingerLakes1.tv.
Attention Finger Lakes residents. Have you been injured and deserve compensation? Call Madej, Maris, and Ricky, your hometown personal injury attorneys. Your case deserves personal attention. At Madej, Maris, and Ricky, they know you by name, not just a number on a folder. Call the Finger Lakes Personal Injury Hotline at 315-568-0911. That's 315-568-0911. Madej, Maris, and Ricky, your hometown personal injury attorneys.
The Newark Pilots. See tomorrow's Major League stars today. For more information, go to newarkpilots.com.
The most valuable things are always passed down from generation to generation. It's true for your family, and it's true for our bank. For more than 140 years at Generations Bank, we've greeted you by name, planned with you for the future, and stood by you when you needed a hand. It's what we do, and what we'll continue to do for generations into the future. We might look different now, but in the important ways, we're exactly like we've always been. Stop in your local branch or go to mygenbank.com.
Newark cheerleaders with a nice rendition of the Star Spangled Banner as we get ready for action tonight. Brendan Harrington along with Matt Verkey, Jeremy Hunt working on camera, and Jim Sinacropi, your producer and director. And let's go ahead and get to the starting lineups. First of all, for the visiting Geneva Panthers, who are 7-0, 6-0 in the Finger Lakes East under Brian Miller, who is in his second season, a former Division I assistant at Canisius, worked under both John Beeline and Mike McDonald. Shane Sweeney, 6'2", 210-pound senior, will run the point, averaging 17 points per game and 4 assists, leads the team in both categories. Jordan Donahue starts at the 2-guard, 6'3", 170-pound senior. At the 3, Coach Miller calls him the glue that holds everything together. Dan Hickey, a 6', 175-pound senior. Up front, Akia Jackson gets the start, 6'1", 160-pound junior. Usually comes off the bench, but he will start tonight in place of Terrell Johnson, who missed practice yesterday with illness. And Junior Sims, the transfer from DeSales, will start at center, 6'4", 220 pounds, averaging 15 points and just under 6 rebounds per game. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Newark Reds under head coach Bob Havrilla in his 4th season. He has a record of 47-25. It took Newark all the way to the state championship game where they lost to Jamesville DeWitt 3 years ago. In the backcourt, Tyler Collins, a 5'8", 120-pound sophomore, will get the start. The two guard is Ronderick Morris, a 5'10", 140-pound sophomore guard, averages just over 6 points per game. David Stone, who averages 10.5 points per game, will start at the three. He's a 5'8", 164-pound senior. And then up front, Anthony Lombardi, 6'2", 210-pound senior, averages 11.5 points per game. And Micah Wright, the team's leading scorer at 11.6 per game, will start at the 5, 6'2", 175-pound junior. And right off the bat, Matt, you see big size advantage to the Geneva Panthers in this one.
Yeah, they got good size throughout the lineup, and I think it's going to be important for the Newark guards. They're young, and they're a little bit on the small side, and Geneva likes to play that 1-3-1 where they really put some pressure up at the top of that zone.
Micah Wright will jump it up for Newark in the white, Geneva in the black. Junior Sims. Your officials are Jim Palermo and Mike Padullo, and we are underway as Newark controls, attacking the basket to your left. And Geneva plays a lot of that 1-3-1 zone that we saw against Minders, but they'll come out in the man-to-man.
Yeah, it looks like they're starting straight man-to-man tonight.
Stone has it, drives down the edge of the lane. Nice diagonal pass across the way, and the finish from Lombardi.
Nice penetration by Stone there, got into the lane, drew Lombardi's man and dumped it off for the easy two.
2-2-1 pressure, Geneva able to beat it no problem. And the easy layup there for Akia Jackson ties it at 2.
Nice job by Geneva there, breaking that three-quarter court pressure.
We have not seen teams press Geneva very much because they're so athletic and so deep. And it didn't work right there. And an offensive foul as Micah Wright called for the charge. Junior Sims able to drive.
Newark sticking with the pressure. Let's see how Geneva handles it this time. Oh, they're dropping back now.
Yeah, they tend to do it after made baskets is the scouting report. Sweeney will bring it up for Geneva. 2-2 just underway here in Newark. Glad to have you along the showdown of the FL East. Donahue.
Like Newark picked up straight man-to-man this possession.
Yep. Primarily a man-to-man team. Even when they run that 2-2-1, they'll drop back into the man. 15 to shoot. Sweeney pick and roll with Sims. Lombardi went down. Crowd wanted the call. Hickey for 3 from the right wing is no good, and the rebound comes down to Newark. Into the front court. This is Ronderick Morris. He'll hand it off to the point guard, Collins. A long skip pass over the top to Lombardi. They're in the 1-3-1 zone for the first time. Stone drives and lost it. Run out for Geneva. Nice pass from Sims. Jackson looked like he was fouled. No call. And Jackson is livid. Back the other way. This is Morris to the basket and scores.
Definitely thought there was some contact down here on the Geneva end.
4-2, early lead for Newark. There's that 2-2-1. Donahue into the corner for Hickey. And now they drop back into the man as everybody finds their assignments, but they're late on Sweeney, and he makes them pay.
Yeah, we talked earlier, Sweeney shooting over 50% from the three-point line this year, which is just great.
Phenomenal numbers. Lombardi off the pass from Tyler Collins. Both teams crisp at the start. Here's Hickey for 3, air ball. And the rebound comes down to Newark. 6-5, Newark early on. Lombardi wide open, just left it a little bit short, and it goes over the backboard.
Not sure if that's the shot they wanted right there, Lombardi. But Newark doesn't seem, we were talking earlier, like they shoot a whole lot of threes. They kind of like to get to the basket a little bit more, and he kind of settled for the 3 there.
Geneva trying to retake the lead. Again, Newark in the man-to-man, wide open off the flex screen there. That's just too easy as Hickey lays it up and in for 2.
Nice offense there by Geneva. Newark's got to jump to the ball. They can't just let them flash right in front of them and get the easy layup on that.
So Geneva back in front, 7-6 here in the early stages, 4:50 to play in the first quarter. Newark, by the way, switching things up a little bit. Phil Tack, a usual starter, not starting today for disciplinary reasons. So we're going to get a travel here from Ronderick Morris. So that pushed Tyler Collins into the starting lineup and kind of shuffled some people around in their normal positions. We'll see how quickly Tack comes in. Also, Jamie Rosser is a nice spark off the bench for them as well. averages double figures.
Yeah, I think Tack will give them a little bit more athleticism to match up with this Geneva team.
Kia Jackson, Sweeney wide open, step back, halfway down and out. And clearing the boards, Micah Wright. Well, even when Sweeney misses, it spins out.
And that was a nice set by Geneva. That was a set play. Sweeney came up top and was wide open top of the key. And, he's going to knock that down more times than not.
They're going to get Jackson on the top of that 1-3-1 zone. And, something we talked about when these two teams met the first time, Matt, is a little bit of a unique approach to this 1-3-1 zone in terms of where Coach Miller puts his personnel.
Yeah, he usually brings his four-man right up top, so they got great length up top. But they still got good depth in the back with Sweeney. They got good height. He's obviously a very good athlete. He can go corner to corner.
And you see right there, he closes out on Lombardi, and just enough to alter the three-point shot and perhaps force a miss. And then a loose ball foul coming up against Lombardi. And so both Lombardi and Wright, the two players we featured in the open, have picked up an early foul.
Have to keep an eye on that. Newark's not real deep, especially up front, so that could be issues if Lombardi gets into foul trouble.
Really goes 7 deep. They'll occasionally bring in an eighth player to eat up some minutes, Cowles. Here's Sweeney, gets free on the block, and even though there were two defenders, big size advantage, and he draws the foul.
Yeah, Geneva really taking advantage of their height throughout, and we saw him get a post up earlier out of the flex offense. That time, Sweeney set a little screen, came back across, and was able to use his size and strength down low.
Foul on Ronderick Morris. First free throw from Sweeney is up and in. He's a 71% free throw shooter.
It's nice to see Geneva knock down their first free throw. Last game, we saw the Minders game probably about a month ago now, and I think Geneva was 1 for 14 that game from the free throw line.
It was not pretty, and when you look inside the numbers on this Geneva team, as Sweeney hits both to make it a 3-point lead, they're great from the field, 52%. They're great from beyond the arc. 40% as a team is just ridiculous. But free throw line, just 53%.
Very, very unusual, obviously, to be that good of a shooting team from the floor and struggle that much at the line.
That time, Newark able to beat some light token pressure from Geneva as Ronderick Morris with the bucket, and it brings Newark back within one. Almost.
Yeah, Newark's really gotten some easy baskets against Geneva pressure. I'm not sure if they're going to switch. Geneva will switch that defense up, but Newark's really taking advantage of Geneva overplaying.
Terrell Johnson has come in. Remember, he did not start, missed practice yesterday because of illness. Air ball, tough rebound from Johnson. He's rejected. 5 on the shot clock. Donahue, no good on the 3. Offensive rebound. Johnson up strong, lays it in.
He looks pretty active. I don't think he's feeling too bad tonight. 2 quick offensive rebounds.
That's like he's picking up where he left off when we saw him last against Minders, where he feasted on the offensive glass, and there's a turnover that will send it back over to the Panthers. Yeah,
12's very active on both sides, at both ends on the boards, and I think he really causes havoc on that defense when he plays the point of the 1-3-1. So I look for Geneva to go into that a little bit more here.
All 4 field goals from Geneva, 4 different players. And there's a nice move from Sims on the low post. And this Geneva team shows they have it all. A little bit of a back-to-the-basket approach there from Sims. Lombardi open from 15, nails it.
Newark really doing a nice job so far against that 1-3-1. They've found the open spots and have made a couple layups out of it, and there they got a wide-open 10-foot jumper.
Lombardi with 6 of the 10 points for the Reds. Sweeney really being hounded by Morris. Still gets all the way to the rack. Put it up too strong, but there's Sims to clean up the garbage.
Geneva dominating inside so far tonight.
And by the way, when Sims scored that last bucket, that made 5 field goals, 5 different players. And when you talk with Brian Miller, he says, the unselfishness of this team is the big reason we've been so good so far this year.
Yeah, and we talked about their balance. Obviously they got Sims and Sweeney are their big scorers, but they got great depth throughout, and they go 8-9 deep, and everybody they put in there is capable of putting up some numbers.
Ronderick Morris with another bucket. He has 6. Now Geneva, Donahue will pull the trigger from 3, no good, and it'll be tied up on the rebound, and possession arrow will keep it right here. And so Geneva's been off a little bit from beyond the arc where they've been so good this year. However, they're dominating with the offensive rebounds.
Yeah, that's really, a couple posts up and a couple offensive putbacks has enabled them to get this 3-point lead. I'll be interested to see if Geneva sticks in that 1-3-1 because it doesn't seem as active as it's been lately, and Newark's been picking it apart here early.
Watch out for number 31, who just came into the game, Steve Dolgus. He can shoot from beyond the arc. Sweeney all the way to the rack, draws the foul.
Yeah, Douglas had a really nice game at Minders when we did that webcast, and he hit some big threes from the corner.
That'll be the second on Derek Morris. And so Sweeney to the free throw line. Now getting back to Brian Miller, the head coach for Geneva, he said, I told our guys the other day at practice, there's two things that have made us so good so far this year. And if we want to continue to succeed, these are the two things we need to continue to do. Number one, sharing the basketball. Unselfish team. You look and they assist on 2 out of every 3 baskets. Somebody's picking up an assist. Now the other thing he said, turnovers. We don't turn the ball over.
Right. And obviously, turnovers is huge. And, we noticed in the Miners game, Sweeney didn't score a whole lot, but he got in the lane, he kicked it out. He always finds the open man. He's very unselfish, and I think that just spreads throughout the team when your star player is that unselfish. Everybody else isn't afraid to pass, and it's obviously been a winning ingredient so far this year.
Geneva has been outscoring their opponents by an average of 35 points per game, and they have put up some lopsided scores so far this year, including a game where they scored in the 90s and held their opponent down in the 20s. You don't see that every day. And that's Michael
Johnson
Wright coming away with it, and a long pass ahead for Jamie Rosser, who's come into the game. He can't finish. A loose ball is picked up, and Newark will get it back outside. 30 seconds left to play. There's about a 5-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. That is off the mark from Stone, and the rebound to Geneva.
See if Geneva pulls it out here for one shot. Yep.
16-12, down to 17 seconds left in the quarter, and Geneva will hold for the last shot. Sweeney working against Rosser. Got to watch the 5-second count, closely guarded. Gets by him, 5 seconds left. Dolgus, NBA, online but short. And that is how the first quarter will come to an end. With your score, the Geneva Panthers 16, the Newark Reds 12. We'll take a timeout and be back on FingerLakes1.tv.
Attention Finger Lakes residents, have you been injured and deserve compensation? Call Madej, Maris, and Ricky, your hometown personal injury attorneys. Your case deserves personal attention. At Madej, Maris, and Ricky, they know you by name, not just a number on a folder. Call the Finger Lakes Personal Injury Hotline at 315-568-0911. That's 315-568-0911. Madej, Maris, and Ricky, your hometown personal injury attorneys.
The Newark Pilots. See tomorrow's Major League stars today. For more information, go to newarkpilots.com.
Brendan Harrington and Matt Verkey back with you from Newark High School as we get set to start the second quarter. Geneva Panthers with a 16-12 lead over the Newark Reds.
Yeah, I think Newark's got to be happy. They're down 4 at the end of the quarter here, and really they've given up a couple putbacks and a couple posts up. But overall, I think they played pretty well. They're attacking the 1-3-1 very well. They had a couple turnovers there, but overall, I think Newark's playing really good tonight.
5 different players scoring field goals in the first quarter for Geneva. Meanwhile, Newark, all the points coming from Derek Morris and Anthony Lombardi, who each scored 12 points. And remember, Morris on the bench now with 2 fouls. Here's Micah Wright for 3. No. And that's a nice rebound for the guard, Dolgus, there.
Yeah, he's a tough little player.
How important is it, Verk, for a guard to rebound well, as Sims will pull the trigger
and
hit?
It's very important, especially in that 1-3-1. You get guys in different positions, and not always, sometimes you're going to have the smaller guys inside, and they got to go up and get those tough rebounds.
Just seems like everybody can shoot on Geneva. Sims is a guy who's their center, and he's now 8 of 15 shooting the 3-ball this year. Turnover. Johnson ahead for Dolgus. Doesn't like what he sees. Pulls it out. Deep 3 from Sweeney off the mark. Tip follow almost went from Sims, and finally Newark tracks it down. Rosser. Newark with its biggest lead at 19-12. And right down the heart of the defense is Phil Tack, who did not play at all in the first quarter, so he's finally in, but couldn't finish there. And then the nickel dimer against the Reds.
Yeah, nice drive by Tack there. He just didn't get the roll.
That's Jacob Cowles. We said we'd see a little bit of him off the bench. Now for Newark, for the first time, Donahue will come out, and Trevor Doduro, the 6', 170-pound junior, averages 4 points per game at the shooting guard, comes in. Geneva can really go 9 deep, even 10 if they have to. Though Sweeney very rarely comes out of the game at the point. I'll try and sneak him out for a blow now and then. Dolgus, nice two-man game. Jackson unable to finish, and it looked like Geneva would have the rebound, but a good strip under there, and Lombardi comes away with it.
Geneva all over the offensive boards again.
Air ball from Rosser, and now nobody rotates back for Geneva. Jackson clear line to the basket, and one.
Nice take there by Jackson. I think at that point Newark would have been better off just giving him those two instead of giving the and one here, as he's going to have a chance for the three-point play.
So first 5 points of the first 5 points could be 6 points coming up here if he makes the free throw of the second quarter going to Geneva. They've opened up the 9-point lead. I almost said as we began the second quarter that neither team had really made a run yet. Geneva had steadily built up that lead, but now we're seeing their first big run of the game make it 6 points to start the quarter as the free throw goes in. 5 points for Akia Jackson. 22-12, Geneva. Lombardi trapped out of that 1-3-1. Somehow stayed in as he drove baseline and finishes and draws the foul.
Nice job by Lombardi. Used the head fake, got in there, head faked again, got Jackson up in the air, and chance for a three-point play here at the other end.
Yeah, Sweeney had the baseline on that trap and gave it up. But a good job by Lombardi to tiptoe that baseline and avoid stepping out. Misses the free throw, however. And it's stripped away from Sweeney on a nice play down low by Rosser. Could have been a foul there, but it's picked up and laid in by Rosser. So nice. That's a 4-point trip.
Yeah, just when Newark needed a little end that 6-0 run with a little 4-0 run of their own.
22-16.
I really like when Newark attacks the basket. They seem to sometimes settle for the three a little bit, and I don't think that's their strength.
Yeah, they're going to get an illegal screen on Shane Sweeney trying to set that flex screen at the high post. And so, turnover, and ball goes back to Newark.
Newark's being very physical with Sweeney. They're face guarding him. A little frustration there maybe, but definitely a physical game so far.
Just the third team foul on Geneva. 6 on Newark, so the next Reds foul puts the Panthers into the bonus, which might not be a bad thing if you're a Newark fan. Remember we said 52%. There's a block from Akia Jackson. Goes across the baseline, so it'll stay with Newark. And back in is Tyler Collins. So we get a look at the replay here. Good movement out of that 1-3-1 zone.
Yeah, it looks like it got a little bit more active since Newark scored some easy baskets early against it. It looks like Geneva went 2-3 underneath out of bounds.
Open three from the wing is too strong for Micah Wright, and out of bounds to Newark, or to Geneva rather. 5:25 to play here the first half. Up-tempo game, not a surprise. Geneva averages 75 points per game. This Newark team averages 68 per game. So we did not expect to see a score in the 40s here tonight by any means.
No, both teams getting up and down pretty good.
Boy, nice pick and roll. Dolgus to Jackson, but couldn't finish. And somehow the little Tyler Collins sneaks in and gets the rebound, but he loses it to Sweeney, who lays it in for 2.
Nice steal there by Sweeney. He was able to finish for 2.
8 points for Sweeney, and dare I say, kind of a quiet 8 points.
Yeah, he hit that 3 early, and he kind of missed a couple chippies there, but he's coming back here.
Here's a 3 ball from Collins in the corner, well off the mark, but right with the rebound. Collins. Nice touch from the high post there.
Yeah, that's a great shot for a sophomore guard, a little floater in the lane.
24-18, Newark hanging around. Dolgus gets bailed out with the foul. And crowd does not like it here at Newark.
Yeah, Dolgus really probably wouldn't even be able to get that shot up in the air, and they kind of bail him out there. And I thought there were some other fouls in there that weren't called, and he kind of got bailed out on that one, and Geneva will take it, though.
And the foul will be charged against Phil Tack his first. It's the team's 7th, so we'll see. Did they give him a shooting foul on it as well?
Yep.
They did, so this will be a 2-shot foul, and Dolgus hits the first. And make it 6 players now in the scoring column for Geneva as Dolgus gets his first point. And Akia Jackson gets a nice ovation as he comes out of the game. Terrell Johnson back in. This to push it back up to 8. So Dolgus, 2 of 2 from the line. Geneva actually 6 of 7 from the free throw line here the first half.
Setting records tonight.
We didn't bring it with us this time, that Hex. There's a turnover. You know, Matt, we've seen a couple times now just really self-induced turnovers from Newark in the half court.
Yeah, that was just a simple guard-to-guard pass, and the guard kind of ball slipped out of his hand a little bit and went out of bounds.
So Geneva with a chance to put it back to double figures. Their biggest lead was 10 at 22-12 before Newark had that 4-point possession. Again, nice cut, wide open as Johnson lays it up and in for 2. Kia Jackson, rather.
Newark is playing that tough pressure man-to-man. They're getting beat a little bit on some back picks and some backdoor cuts. Seen it happen 3 or 4 times now.
So a little 4-0 spurt gets it back up to 10 at 28-18. Collins with a deep 3, spins out. Nice job to keep the rebound alive by Tack, and he bowls his way to the basket.
Yeah, nice job by Tack. They're kind of looking to kick it out. Nobody's open. He went up and finished strong.
First points for Phil Tack, who averages 7.5 per game. Sweeney draws 2 defenders, leaves it, and missed layup there from Trevor Doduro.
Yeah, nice take by Doduro. He just kind of put it up a little bit too hard.
Lombardi in the corner. Geneva fans wanted to travel. Down to 17 on the shot clock. Lombardi all the way in the other corner now. Again, Geneva playing mostly this 1-3-1 zone. And Sweeney with the quick hands forces the turnover. Panthers looking to run. Doduro almost kissed it high off the glass, and he'll go to the line.
Nice take by Doduro, being ultra aggressive here last couple times down the court, and earned himself 2 free throws here.
Well, a lot of people in this area watch Syracuse basketball, and if you watch Syracuse basketball, you know how good they are at getting out of that 2-3 zone into their transition game. It's the same thing for this Geneva team at the high school level. Maybe as good a team as any I've seen is coming out of a zone defense and then filling the lanes as they did there.
Yeah, it really helps. They got 2-3 guys who can handle the ball, and whoever gets it, they get it to one of those 2 or 3 guys, and they push it down. They got great finishers on the wings, and they really like to push the tempo.
Doduro goes 1 of 2 from the line, so now 7 players into the scoring book for Geneva. And Doduro will head out, and Donahue will come back in, the starter. 29-20, 9-point lead for the Panthers as we have 2:50 remaining here the first half. And I was just about to say neither team has called a timeout, and with that, Newark will spend a 30-second timeout. And thanks so much to our sponsors, Section 5 basketball here on FingerLakes1.tv. Dr. Rod Littlejohn, orthodontics exclusively, celebrating 30 years of smiles with style. Visit www.littlejohnortho.com. Market Alternatives Insurance, serving Newark and the surrounding area, responding to the constantly changing needs of their customers. So 2:50 to play here in the second quarter. 29-20, Geneva with a 9-point lead, and really get the feeling this is a big stretch of the game before the half if you're Newark to try and stay in it.
I was just going to say that. Coach Haverhill called timeout, kind of settle those guys down here. 9-point lead. You don't want to see that balloon up to 14-15 going in the half. And I think from Newark's perspective, they like to get it down to 5-6 points if possible here.
Rosser to Collins.
Geneva switched it up out of the timeout, came out and straight man-to-man.
Coach Miller says they played a 1-3-1 a little over half of the time. It's a nice job by Micah Wright to penetrate into the lane that time. It's the first basket for Micah Wright.
Yeah, that was a nice move. He got in the lane, nice athletic move for him, and hit the 8-foot jump shot.
Came in as the leading scorer, so Geneva doing a nice job on him so far. And how about Junior Sims? Continues to be lights out from downtown, his second 3 of the game.
Yeah, it's a tough shot. They, Geneva's got 3 great shooters with Sims, Sweeney, and Donahue out front there, and another 3 for Sims.
I would not want to be a coach trying to defend this Geneva team. So many weapons and so versatile. Here's Lombardi for 3, halfway down and out. And the rebound cleared by Sims. Shows he can handle the rock a little bit too. As they bring it into the front court. 10-point lead. And kind roll for Donahue as he drives the lane.
I think that's Donahue's first bucket.
Yep.
And he's a kid who, once he gets rolling, we saw him in Minders, once he hits one, he usually comes back with a couple more. So I look for Geneva to start getting the ball inside to him a little bit.
And there's a bucket down low. Jamie Rosser
Yeah, Newark a little lucky there. Almost threw it away and ended up with an easy layup.
4 points for Rosser, and that brings it back to 10. And we're going to get a timeout from Geneva here. It'll also be a 30-second timeout. And we'll thank some more sponsors right after we get a look at this replay. Nice dish down low from Phil Tack. And Rosser able to finish, but thanks so much to Madej, Miras, and Ricky, your hometown personal injury attorneys. If you've suffered a serious injury or accident and want personal professional attention, call the Finger Lakes Personal Injury Hotline at 315-568-0911 for a free, no-obligation phone consultation. Serving the Finger Lakes and surrounding areas since 1945. Visit them online at MadejMirasRicky.com. So each team spending a timeout here now. Just 1:09 left to play before the half. 8 different players have scored for Geneva.
Yeah, I look for Geneva to run a set play here coming out of timeout. Maybe try to get the ball into Sweeney or Sims down low and take advantage of their strength and size inside.
Plenty of time to work with here with 25 on the shot clock. Donahue will handle it. Dan Hickey back in the game as well. Down to 12 of the shot clock. Sweeney at the free throw line. Jackson with a little set shot.
Oh.
And wow! Well, if you thought Donahue got a generous roll, that was nothing compared to Akia Jackson.
That shot was kind of flat. It caught the back of the rim, went up off the backboard, off the rim, and bounced in.
Here's an open three from Stone. He can't hit it. And Lombardi tracks it down the baseline. May have gotten away with some steps. And finally calls the travel. And it will go back over to Geneva. 37-24, 13-point lead for Geneva.
Geneva can hold for the last shot here, so at worst they could go in up 13 at halftime, which I'm sure Coach Miller would take that.
They're up 4 at the end of the first quarter. They've outscored Newark 21-14 thus far in the second quarter to seize control of the game. Tack tried to draw a foul there. That's a good no call. Sims all day. The third from downtown from Junior Sims. He has 13 in the first half and now a foul on the other end. I mean, he's got a sweet stroke from downtown.
He does. He's got he's a great inside-out player. Really a stretch four, really. Knocking down three threes here in the first half, and we saw him post up a couple times in the first half. Not a bad foul, really, there by Geneva. 1.5 seconds. Newark gets the ball underneath because Geneva had some fouls to give there.
I was talking the other day. I think that's like the hottest buzz term in basketball right now is the stretch four. There's not a whole lot of stretch fours in Section 5.
No, definitely not.
40-24 as Geneva continues to impress. Just 2 seconds left at the buzzer, right? No go. And at the end of the first half, a 16-point lead for Geneva as they are 1 half away from setting up a showdown with Wayne on Friday night in what would be a battle of undefeated teams. An impressive performance in the first half from Geneva.
Yeah, Geneva, and Newark's not playing terrible, just Geneva's very good. And when you got Sims hitting 3 threes, Sweeney hasn't really done a whole lot. They're being very physical with him. I almost think they're actually fouling him a lot. They're not allowing him to make his cuts. They're getting in his way and stuff like that. But he's kept his cool like he has all year. He's seen this before, and Sims has really stepped it up. And Geneva's been able to execute their offense very well. I think that they got some out of that flex. They got a couple baskets. They got some post-ups. They've really been active on the offensive board. So great half for Geneva.
16-point lead for the Panthers. We'll step aside and go to our halftime show. 40-24. Some guests from Lions High School boys basketball team coming up next on FingerLakes1.tv.
Thanks, Brendan. Jim Sinacropi back here inside the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls. We hope you're enjoying the first half of action between the Geneva Panthers and the Newark Reds. We're going to take a short break and hear from our sponsors, and then we'll be back with a portion of an interview with 3 Lions who are up here in studio this week as part of the Upstate Hoops podcast. We'll be right back. Attention, Finger Lakes residents. Have you been injured and deserve compensation? Call Madej, Miras, and Ricky, your hometown personal injury attorneys. Your case deserves personal attention. At Madej, Miras, and Ricky, they know you by name, not just a number on a folder. Call the Finger Lakes Personal Injury Hotline at 315-568-0911. That's 315-568-0911. Madej, Maris, and Ricky, your hometown personal injury attorneys.
The Newark Pilots. See tomorrow's Major League stars today. For more information, go to newarkpilots.com.
The most valuable things are always passed down from generation to generation. It's true for your family, and it's true for our bank. For more than 140 years at Generations Bank, we've greeted you by name, planned with you for the future, and stood by you when you needed a hand. It's what we do, and what we'll continue to do for generations into the future. We might look different now, but in the important ways, we're exactly like we've always been. Stop in your local branch or go to mygenbank.com.
And welcome back. Thank you again to all our sponsors, without whom tonight's webcast wouldn't be possible. As I mentioned, we have a portion of an interview from Thursday night on the Upstate Hoops podcast here on FingerLakes1.com. Head coach of the Lions, undefeated Lions, Zach Young, and also seniors Devin Veeder and Jake Kehoe spent some time with us in studio. So let's catch a portion of that interview. Devin Veeder and Jake Kehoe, welcome to the Upstate Hoops podcast, fellas.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
And their coach, Zach Young, welcome back.
Hey, guys.
Congratulations on an undefeated start to the season. And also, Devin, you won Player of the Week a couple weeks ago, and you emailed us for your T-shirt.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'm going to hand-deliver that to you. We also heard from Jake Ball last week, Verk.
Jake Ball from Naples?
From Naples, your choice for Player of the Week last week.
Naples also undefeated, right? Still?
Yeah, undefeated in atop the West. So, first off, you guys are seniors, played together for a while now. How long have you known each other?
Well, I think Jake came over. I think it was his freshman year. He came over to the Lions, and we've been playing basketball together since then. We're basically in the same classes together, so we've gotten to know each other pretty well, playing with each other on the basketball court, and since his freshman year, basically.
So tell me a little bit about Jake's game.
Jake, the past couple of years, he's been our 6/7th man. He's basically the muscle man on the team. He comes in and does a lot of the dirty work for us. He's been pretty good. Last year he had a huge game in sectionals versus Letchworth. They had a couple of strong kids, and he had a big game then. And he's had a lot of great games this year for us. He's the last, I think, 3 or 4 games, he's been averaging around 8 points or so. And he's mostly a defensive guy, but to put up numbers like that, it's a big help to us too.
So, Jake, you play a little center, a little power forward. Where do you usually go in the scheme of things?
Yeah, pretty much power forward.
You're the tallest guy on the team, right?
Not the tallest, but pretty close.
Trey Johnson taller?
I think actually Nick Snelly is the tallest.
Oh, okay.
We're all about the same.
Trey's taller with the hair.
So, Jake, tell us a little bit about Devin's game.
Devin pretty much keeps us all in line out there. I mean, he's been playing 4 years on varsity, I'm pretty sure. And, I mean, he's a great leader out on the court. Averages usually, I don't know, probably close to 15 a game. So that's a huge help to the team. But, yeah, he pretty much runs things out there. He's not always a point guard, but he's the one that knows what's going on. So.
Right. Now, you mentioned he's not the point guard. Junior running the point, Damian Scott, and Devin, you're playing shooting guard. And that seems to have been pretty successful for you guys. You're scoring. Everybody seems to be scoring. That's one thing about your team that I've been impressed with is that there's balance across the board scoring-wise. You know, you guys might have 7 guys in double digits some nights, and it seems like everybody's contributing. And what do you attribute that to?
Yeah, that's one of the big things. I mean, Coach talks to us about that all the time. I think our biggest thing, he tells us that'll be the one thing that'll let us down is being selfish, and that's one of the things we try to work on every day in games and even in practice is just being unselfish, because we know we have about 8 guys that could score 10 points at least on every night, so that's one of the big things for us.
So, Zach, you know, is this a conscious decision you kind of made when looking at your team this year, and did you do anything different that kind of accounts for the balance?
That's kind of what I try to have every team do, you know, but we have a lot of people that can score in different ways this year, and it's tough to defend 5 guys when you all know they're a threat, scouting us rather than just trying to focus on 1 or 2. So that's kind of my philosophy. If you can focus on 1 or 2, then we have a couple other people that can hurt you. I think we have 6 players right now averaging over 7 points a game, which is pretty good. And it's probably the best balance I've had as a varsity coach for sure. And, Damian has exceeded my expectations so far. I thought it might take him the first 8, 9, 10 games. But, he's had 2 games with 10 assists. And he doesn't start all the time. He started a couple times. But when he doesn't really seem to care. And he has been distributing the ball. As well as, Devin has a 2-to-1 assist ratio to turnovers as well, and so does Damian. And that helps, and everybody, I think, as a player, as a former player, when you get an easy bucket, I just think that helps you in other phases of your game. So hopefully we can continue to do that and shoot the ball at a high percentage as well.
Yeah, one thing I noticed just looking at your box scores is typically, there's 4 or 5 guys, 10 to 20 points, outside. Trey had that one big game.
Yeah, Trey had a really big game versus Mid Lakes, and we let him have a big game. He was...
Which is nice for him, obviously.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
And but typically, he's been 14, 15, 16 points a game. And obviously, they have that kind of balance. I see Devin's it seems like he's shooting more threes this year. At least he's making more threes, it looks like, in the box score. And I thought watching you guys play this year, you were passing up a couple threes last year in that Clyde game, I thought. And it seems like
I've told him to shoot a couple times this year.
You got a bigger green light this year, or what? Unlimited, or?
Yeah, I think I've had from him. I've played with him since, or he's been my coach since when I was in 8th grade. He was my JV coach. So he's been telling me to shoot more since then.
And once again, that was myself, Matt Verkey, and Zach Young, Devin Veeder, and Jake Kehoe. Thanks a lot, guys, for coming in to see us in Seneca Falls. Now I'd like to send you back live to Newark, New York for the second half of action between the Geneva Panthers and the Newark Reds on FingerLakes1.com.
And thank you so much, Jim. Back in Newark, Brendan Harrington along with Matt Verkey. Jim Sinacropi, our producer and director, Jeremy Hunt on camera. And, boy, I'll tell you, we were impressed the first time we saw Geneva against Minders. And first half today, I guess we posed the question at the top, Verk, would there be a little bit of overlooking this game if you're Geneva? And certainly it did not look like they overlooked anything in the first half.
No, Newark was hanging with them early in that second quarter. Newark got outscored by 10 points, but, Junior Sims has been, we talked about him being the stretch 4, and, 3 threes. He's got some offensive rebound, put back, a couple posts up, and, Newark not shooting the ball particularly well from the three-point line, and I think if they're going to get back in this game, they're going to have to hit some threes because Geneva's just a little bit bigger and very athletic inside, and Newark's had some open threes. They've gone, they've been there, but they haven't fallen tonight. 8
different players scored in the first half for the Geneva Panthers. Junior Sims leading the way with 13 points, including 3 three-pointers in the second quarter. 10 points for Akia Jackson, also double figures, and then Shane Sweeney with 8.
Yeah, we talked about Geneva's depth coming in, and they've definitely lived up to that. You got 6 different players scoring, and really just sharing the ball well and playing really well together tonight.
Lombardi with 8 and Derek Morris with 6. So Geneva now with the basketball to open up the second half. Newark in the man-to-man. Nice pick and roll. Sims, easy bucket there. And Geneva extends it to an 18-point lead.
Nice play. Geneva ran their offense all the way through there, and, they kind of set that up from coming out of the half there.
Geneva led by 4 at the end of the first quarter and really took control in the second quarter, outscoring Newark 24-12. And Lombardi couldn't hit, and Junior Sims goes down hard and is slow to get up. And here's a look at that pick and roll. It doesn't get much easier than that.
No, that was a great play. Ran it all the way through and got exactly what they wanted.
42-24, just underway here the third quarter at Newark High School. Not a whole lot to cheer about so far for the home fans.
No.
Stone into the paint, kicks it for Collins. Here's a 3 off the mark from Morris. And now run out for Geneva. 3-on-2. Jackson for Donahue. And the lead is 20.
That's what you talked about earlier. Missed shot. They run out of that zone so well. They really look up for each other. A couple nice passes for the easy bucket.
And so unselfish, as we saw the pass there from Akia Jackson. And that off the mark for Micah Wright. He got all the way to the basket, couldn't finish. And right now, lid on the basket for the Reds.
This is danger time for Newark here. Quick 4-0 start to the half here.
And Donahue a little too much on that, but another offensive rebound for Akia Jackson. Now, Jackson, it's funny, when Sims returned, now Sims didn't play the first 3 games of the year for Geneva, Matt, because of some academic issues. He started the first game that he played in, which was the Minders game, and Akia Jackson had to take a reserve role. And at first he was a little bit upset about it and then really embraced the 6-man role.
Yeah, coming off the bench, sometimes guys you kind of get a feel for the game, what's going on. You see where maybe you could take advantage. And, he's come in tonight. He's been very active. He's been I think that's his 11th or 12th point. He's been all over the place and playing great defense and definitely hitting the boards big time.
I mean, it was a complete 180-degree turn, because when Jackson was told he would start tonight because Terrell Johnson missed practice yesterday, he said, "Coach, I don't want to. I want to come off the bench." And we're going to get a tee right here.
Yeah, you obviously can't do that. Just slam the ball. Not sure what he was mad about. They called the foul there, and he still slammed the ball to the ground, and I think he's going to take a seat on the bench.
And you can see Coach Bob Havrilla trying to get an explanation right now from Stone. And so Geneva scored the first 5 points of this third quarter. And so if you go back to the second quarter now, this is a 29-12 run.
Yeah, Geneva really showing their strength. Even when they're missing shots or getting the offensive rebounds, Newark just does not have the answer right now.
So Sweeney will go to the line, and if he hits both here, Geneva will already have 3 players in double figures and gets the roll. And Geneva, as we mentioned before, the free throw shooting has been good tonight. They were 7 of 9 in the first half. And as Sweeney hits both, they are now 10 of 13.
We're talking about Geneva having Wayne coming into town on Friday. Both teams looks like they're going to be undefeated. They could end up playing 3 times this year. Right now they're the 2 and 3 seed in Class A, so they might see each other twice during the Finger Lakes East, and possible. I'm sure they'd love to see each other in sectionals. Would mean they're both winning. So
Charlotte right now holding on to the number 1 seed, and there's 2 more points for Shane Sweeney. 12 points for the leading scorer for the Panthers. Came in at 17 points per game, and that's a travel by Tyler Collins. And Sweeney's points have dipped just a little bit, but you look, so many weapons on this team.
Yeah, there really is. He's not the type to force it. He shoots it when it's open, and they run some good plays for him. But he doesn't have to force it. If they're going to try to really focus on him, they got plenty of help elsewhere.
And again, wide open off that flex screen. This time it is Hickey. Lays it up and in for 2, and Brian Miller with the fist pump.
Coach Miller really pumped up down there. Obviously showing his excitement here, and as they opened up a 17-point lead here early in the third quarter.
And the things you value at a bank are the deeply rooted values they've held for more than 140 years at Generations Bank. Learn more at mygenbank.com with locations in Seneca Falls, Waterloo, Geneva, Auburn, Union Springs, Phelps, and coming soon, Farmington. As you get a look there at Brian Miller, I've been really impressed with this guy. He is the compliance officer at Hobart, and he thought he was done with coaching when he took that position, but as it turned out, there was an opening at the high school level with Geneva, and this is a guy who has coached with some big names in college basketball, most notably John Beilein, and of course, Beilein's doing great things with his Michigan team this year.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of John Beilein since, he kind of recruited me a little bit when he was at Lemoyne, then I followed him to Canisius, and now he's at Michigan, where they might have the best team in the country there. But the Geneva athletic director contacted Coach Miller and asked him if he knew of anybody who might be able to coach the team, and Coach Miller stepped up, and I think he's been real happy with the being able to coach basketball and maintain his family life. I know he's got some young kids, so it's not like he talked about, when you're a Division I coach, you're gone for, sometimes weeks at a time. So now at least he's home every night and able to see his family, which he likes.
Here's Micah Wright, air ball, and Junior Sims will track it down. Geneva has scored the first 11 points of the second half. Numbers the other way. Hickey can't finish and gets it back and scores.
Geneva really just out hustling Newark there. They had 3 or 4 guys down there at the offensive boards, and they missed a couple shots.
Wow, what a steal by Sims. Nice lead ahead for Jackson, and that'll go out of bounds after he climbed up Jackson's back to Collins, and it will stay with the Panthers.
Yeah, Coach Haverhill trying to get the team to settle down a little bit. I think they couple turnovers here. They kind of got rattled. They need to just settle down, run their offense, and get good shots.
Here's a deep three from Donahue, and boy, it's just one of those runs right now for the Geneva Panthers. Everything going in. Donahue has 7, and the lead is now all the way ballooned up to 32.
It's kind of like the run that Syracuse had against Rutgers in that game the other night where they scored 20 points in a row. Newark just can't seem to do anything right now.
I hate to keep making these Syracuse references, but I mean the ability to have the big runs. I mean, Geneva really does kind of remind you of that, and we've seen it here today. And now 16 points to open up the third quarter and another turnover from Newark, and this team's rattled right now.
Yeah, I think the young guards from Newark are a little bit rattled. We talked about Geneva's experience. Sweeney's a 4-year player. Donahue's been starting for 3 years. Sims won the sectional title last year. They just got experience and depth all over the place.
Here's Micah Wright as Sims missed the putback from Sweeney on the other end, and somehow, boy, I think it's that basket. And now Jackson leaks out and may have taken an extra step, but they let him play, and Lombardi emerges with it. 56-26. That was the first basket for Geneva, and it took them 3.5 minutes here in this third quarter before they scored. Micah Wright, it's a nice little cut and pull-up.
Yep.
And back-to-back hoops for Micah Wright.
Nice shot there, got the ball, uses that, took a dribble, uses athleticism, jumped up and made the 10-footer.
Even with those two baskets, Geneva doubling up Newark right now, 56-28. Sims trying to post up. Lombardi knocked it free. Scramble for the ball and a jump ball. Possession arrow will keep it with the Panthers. And we're going to get a 30-second timeout here called by the Panthers. And a chance to thank the Newark Pilots for sponsoring tonight's broadcast. See tomorrow's Major League Stars today. Season tickets available at www.newarkpilots.com. And boy, I had the pleasure of doing some games over at Colburn Park this past summer. And what a magnificent job they did with the field over there, Bob Oman, and bringing that Collegiate Baseball League in. Have you made it to any games over there?
I haven't.
It's great.
I'm going to plan on it next year. And I was able to catch a couple of the webcasts that Finger Lakes won, and you did, Brendan, and looking forward to getting over there this year.
If we can just move the sun from behind the scoreboard so I can see, though I hear that there are plans to perhaps relocate the press box. That would be great. But it is fantastic. Just thinking about that makes me warm this time of year.
I've heard all good things about it. What a beautiful, what a great job they did fixing the place up. And heard they got a great concession stand.
Yes. Makes me hungry as well. 3.5 minutes to play here the third quarter. Sims, can he hit another one? He finally misses from beyond the arc. He was 3 for 3 before that. And the rebound, Ron Derek Morris, he really goes 1-on-3 to the basket there and lost the handle.
Yeah, trying to be aggressive, just went a little bit too far and lost the ball.
Coach Chavrilla turning around and talk a little bit with his team. It does not get any easier for Newark because they got Minders coming up next.
Yeah, that should be a great game.
Friday night.
Geneva handled Minders. It was obviously a lot closer than this. Minders hung around most of that game, ended up losing by 8 or 9 points. But it's a big game for both teams.
Well, no breaks right now for Newark. Geneva got away with a big-time travel. And then they're going to get Phil Tack with the blocking foul. And Junior Sims is going to try for 3 points again, except he's going to try and do it the old-fashioned way and score the bucket and go to the line. First points of the second half for Sims. And too strong with a free throw. Batted all the way out. Newark controls. 58-28. 30-point lead for the undefeated Panthers. 2:45 to play in the third quarter. Lombardi on the baseline. Came loose. And Tack emerged from the pack and laid it in.
Nice putback there by Tack. Got the strong rebound, went back, laid it in.
Here's Sweeney. And Tack with the steal, collides with Sweeney. And they're going to call an offensive foul. And I was waiting for the boos to start. There was a little bit of a delay as the crowd, I think, comprehended that was called an offensive foul.
Yeah, that was kind of the Tech got kind of put in a tough spot there. He had the steal, and I think it might have been an offensive foul. Sweeney was maintaining his ground there, but or maybe a no call, but Geneva was the beneficiary of the call.
Wow, Havrilla, I don't know what you got to do to pick up a technical as a coach. He tried everything he could because he was right behind Mike Padullo, way out of the coaching box there, obviously unhappy with the call.
There's
and I think we just found out what happened. And now Havrilla still upset, and he better be careful. He might have an early exit in this one.
Oh, that was just a warning, I guess.
Oh, it was a warning?
Wow. Referee being very patient there with Coach Havrilla because he was really giving it to him.
Wow, that's just a warning.
I think he was looking for an offensive push-off on Sweeney, but the Newark kids are really, they can't just get in his way when he's trying to make a cut without the ball all the time.
Oh, Sweeney, heck of a crossover. Pretty good defense from Morris. Down to 8 of the shot clock. Sweeney now working against Rosser. Down to 3 in the shot clock, and wow, with 1 on the shot clock, the foul. And Havrilla just arms folded, can only watch.
Yeah, Sweeney really used his strength there. They had a couple guys on him. He, fought through some ball pressure and found Jackson on the pick and roll there. Or Johnson, I should say, on the pick and roll.
Now, Johnson and Jackson, two very similar players.
Yeah, both very active. Great rebounders. Play the top of that 1-3-1. And you're right, they are very similar. Both very athletic.
And first free throw from Johnson just barely grazes the rim. He struggles at the free throw line.
I think
part of the reason maybe Geneva has done well at the line tonight is they've kept him away from it. He's now 7 of 20 from the free throw line this year.
Getting down the line and looking at the game Friday, that hopefully you'd hate to see those free throws come back and bite Geneva here down the road or in a sectional game or something like that, but I'm sure they're working on them every day.
Now the question is, if you're Wayne and you're looking at the tape of this game, particularly the third quarter, how do you attack this Geneva team?
Yeah, Wayne's got maybe the best guard, maybe the best player in the league, in Trey Lamora. He's going to bring a whole different element to that game where he's got the experience. Newark was starting some sophomore guards, and Lamora is very experienced. I saw him play against Miners last year, and he's athletic. He's got good size, which really will help against the 1-3-1 with his athleticism, size, good ball handler. And, Bobo, I think it's Connor Henderson. Wayne, that should be a great matchup.
Telling you, Section 5 has some of the best names for players. I don't know what it is. You mentioned Bobo. There's a guy up in Monroe County. I love Gunnar Blaze is his name, and he's a shooter.
You can't beat that name if you're a shooter.
Brinson Blocker. I think he graduated last year. Has both free throws in there. And that was the best ball movement I think we've seen in the half court so far today from this Newark team, as both free throws from Jacob Cowles on the mark.
Yeah, Newark's really playing hard, and their man-to-man defense has been tight. They've been beating on a couple flashes across the lane, but they're still playing hard, and they can build off this. They're a young team with a young backcourt, and they just kind of ran into a buzzsaw tonight so far.
Couple nice plays from Cowles. He hit the free throws and then got the steal on the defensive end, and Lombardi has really had a nice game as well as he gets into double figures with the bucket there. He now has 10, and the lead is 25 for Geneva.
Yeah, he's kind of an undersized 5-man, but he uses his head fakes well and, uses his body down low to gain position, and he was able to go underneath the rim there and put it in for 2.
Down to 38 seconds to play in the third quarter. Sweeney is cut off, so he leaves it for Donahue. Too strong, but a long rebound tracked down by Dolgus. And now Geneva can hold for the last shot. Now the Panthers led by 16 at halftime and then doubled that lead by scoring the first 16 points of the third quarter.
Yeah, and I think big differences in the game are three-point shooting for Geneva, and Geneva's really owned the boards at both ends.
They've also been able to get some pretty easy baskets in half-court sets as well.
Yep.
Guys coming wide open off that flex screen. And missed bucket on the other end. As Micah Wright slow to get up with just 1.2 seconds left. We'll get a foul here against Geneva, but it will be on the floor. As you see Wright going hard to the glass. And decides to relax for a minute on the floor before he gets up again. So 1.2 left. Going to have to hurry. Morris at the buzzer. Count it. So a good ending to the third quarter for Newark, but all Geneva for the most part. 59-37 at the end of 3. We'll take a timeout and be back with the fourth quarter on FingerLakes1.tv.
The Newark Pilots. See tomorrow's Major League stars today. For more information, go to NewarkPilots.com.
The most valuable things are always passed down from generation to generation. It's true for your family, and it's true for our bank. For more than 140 years at Generations Bank, we've greeted you by name, planned with you for the future, and stood by you when you needed a hand. It's what we do, and what we'll continue to do for generations into the future. We might look different now, but in the important ways, we're exactly like we've always been. Stop in your local branch or go to mygenbank.com.
Back at Newark High School, Geneva does end the third quarter on a 13-3 run, yet they still trail it 59-37. Lead was 32 after Geneva scored the first 16 points of the second half to open up a 56-24 lead. So give Newark some credit here.
Yeah, Newark's still playing hard. They, like you said, they trimmed a 32-point lead down to 22. Let's see if they can continue a little bit of momentum here starting the fourth quarter and maybe give them something to build off of.
Well, no call there as he tried to draw the charge, and it leads to an easy basket for Morris. So 11 points all of a sudden for Ronderick Morris, and the lead is back to 20 at 59-39.
Now it's Coach Miller's not real happy with the refs.
Yeah, nobody is. It's a tough job. Here's Donahue. Seems like the defensive intensity's picked up a little bit here from Newark in the half court. Sweeney draws the foul and will head to the line. Boy, he's good at getting to the basket.
He is, and if they're going to play him tight, he's got the quickness. He uses ball fakes, and he's able to get in the lane there and draw a foul.
So Sweeney to the free throw line, has 12 points. And first free throw up and in.
Sweeney shot the ball well tonight from the foul line.
Geneva now 12 of 16 from the free throw line. Much better than the 1 for 14 performance we saw last time these two teams played. I remember talking to Coach Miller after that game, and he's just shaking his head. So we're not that bad at the free throw line.
Yeah, and I don't think they are. And, obviously tonight they've been knocking down a good percentage.
61-39. Here's Morris again. Lombardi with the rebound. Throws a couple shot fakes and goes in and scores.
He's done a nice job all night down there battling those big athletic kids for Geneva.
Well, if you're Newark, probably too big a hole to overcome, but a chance to get some momentum going into that game against Minders on Friday. There's a nice back cut from Terrell Johnson with a good finish.
Yeah, I think that that game Friday should be a good one between Minders and Newark. I think Newark's going to be able to pressure them a little bit, and just makes it that much bigger with Newark losing tonight. If they want to have any chance at any kind of league title hopes, they're going to have to beat Minders on Friday.
And it'll stay down here. And when you look at the standings in the Finger Lakes East coming in, as we get a look at that great finish from Terrell Johnson on the backdoor cut, you got Wayne and Geneva both at 6-0 and going to go to 7-0 tonight by all appearances. And then you have another tier, if you will, 2 games back coming into play tonight. Newark and Minders both 4-2. Then there's another little bit of a drop-off. You get to Pelmac and Penn Yan, and then Whitman, Waterloo, and Mid-Lakes kind of bringing up the rear.
Yeah, I think, Wayne and Geneva obviously are the class of the league. And then you got, Geneva, Newark, Minders, Pelmac kind of hanging around there. Penn Yan beat Newark earlier. But, I'm not sure if Minders or Newark can beat Geneva or Wayne this year, but that game Friday night between Geneva and Wayne should be a great one.
Micah Wright well off the mark there, kind of forced the 3 with the shot clock running down. And so Geneva basketball leading by 22.
We saw Geneva and Minders. I think they had won almost 30 games and they're all at home, and Geneva came into Minders' home court and was able to get the win.
Wow, Sweeney almost able to finish off that drive as he drew the harm, and he'll head to the line for 2 more free throws. Sweeney has Done a great job getting to the free throw line tonight. 7 of 8 from the line as he goes there now, as he tries to add to his 14 points, which leads all scorers right now, as he's actually trails Sims by 1, beg your pardon. Now they're even.
Yeah, they've really been, they kind of took away his three-point shooting tonight. He had a couple looks early, hit a bomb early on, had another nice look, and had missed that one. But since then, I don't think he's attempted a three the second half. They've been really up, playing him tight, and so he's going to get to the basket when they do that.
Well, when you start talking about championship teams in basketball, regardless of the level, I mean, I think you start talking about, being able to win games in a variety of ways. If a team's going to play you tight on the perimeter, you have guys that can get you to the basket. Team's going to sag off you and make you beat them with the three. You're able to do that. And I think that's what really impresses me about this Geneva team, as we're going to get a timeout right now from Coach Miller. And they seem like they can beat you a lot of ways.
Yeah, they don't. They don't rely on one guy to do anything. They shut Sweeney down. They got Sims, Donahue. They got great depth. They got good leadership. They got seniors. They really have everything you want in a championship basketball team, and I'm sure that's league title first, and then I'm sure they're looking at that sectional bracket thinking they got a shot this year. And, this is kind of a culmination of the last couple years. Geneva kind of taking some lumps in the league and in sectionals. And I think they think this is their year and they can make a great run.
Yeah, and again, I can't speak highly enough of the fact you're able to bring in a coach with the pedigree of Brian Miller to kind of maybe be the extra little to get you over the top.
Yeah, as a high school kid, you got a coach who's got Division I experience. He coaches one of the best coaches, in my opinion, in the country, and Coach Beeline. He takes a lot from Coach Beeline, the 1-3-1. A lot of their man offense is what Coach Beeline likes to run, and what a great guy to have as a high school player, somebody with that experience, and he's going to put you in a great situation to win every game.
Colin. College basketball for 6 years at the Division I level. I can't tell you how many conversations I had with coaches and assistant coaches about recruits coming in and haven't been coached up before in the right way. And to have this kind of coaching in high school from Coach Miller,
it's great.
Is unusual, and it's great. As that was Sweeney.
And it's unusual, and I like what he does. I'm a big fan. He comes out of timeouts. They run a set play. That was a set play of the timeout to get Sweeney a three, and it worked to perfection. I like coaches running those quick hitters and getting certain players certain shots that they want to get them.
And Sweeney all of a sudden up to 19 points now.
Yeah,
I knew he was going to lap Sims. I just got a little ahead of myself.
He was kind of quiet there in the second and third quarters, but he's been getting to the line and sprung open for a three there and knocked it down.
And, that's our job to keep track of points up here. But you really do get the feeling with this Geneva team that they don't care where it comes from. They just want to win.
I agree 100% with that. And you've talked about it at length tonight. They're just very unselfish. Nobody really cares who shoots the ball, who scores the ball. They're just happy with the win.
Collins with the shot clock running down, almost banked it in. Numbers for Geneva. And great job to step around what could have been a charge. And Akia Jackson with the acrobatic finish.
Yeah, Collins trying to take the charge there and kind of leaned in a little bit as Akia was making his move to the basket, and he's going to have a shot here at another three-point play.
Yeah, a lot of players, a lot of teams, you draw the charge there, but Jackson, the tremendous athlete, able to step around him and really almost never miss a beat there as he lays it in and draws the foul.
I was a little scared there for Collins. He's not the biggest guy in the world. I thought he might get run over, but Akia kind of sidestepped him, and they just bumped shoulders a little bit.
And Jackson now with 14. As he hits the free throw. 71-41. And 15-footer is off the mark there from Paul Dingman. So Newark going a little bit deeper into the bench here. As we come down the stretch, 4:15 to play.
And, the thing with Geneva is, Sims was so good in the first half. Really hasn't done a ton here in this half. But, they just continue to roll.
Jim just flashing up those next two games for you. Newark at Minders and Wayne at Minders. Those will be our next two broadcasts coming up, as we're going to see Geneva now get some guys in for the first time. C.J. Lorder, number 33, getting his first action. Matt Youngs. Dan Hickey checks back in. We also saw Duduro in the first half. And so this one firmly in hand here as we move past the midway point of the fourth quarter. Skip pass for Rosser along the baseline, and he's able to finish. So Jamie Rosser with the bucket. His first points of the second half. He has 6. 71-43. And Doduro travels.
Doduro really looks to get to the rim when he gets in there. Right? Kind of nowhere to go on that one, though, and he was called for the traveling.
Hickey comes out, and here's Benito Diaz, 6'1", 175-pound junior.
So Geneva's going to continue at that torrid pace that they've been tearing up the Finger Lakes East. Looks like they're going to settle in on a 25, 30-point win here tonight.
There's a 3-ball from Nick Camacho.
Another game that we're webcasting is Lions at Newark towards the end of February, and I'm kind of interesting to see that crossover game between small school Lions and a bigger school in Newark, and that should be a really good matchup. 2 athletic teams, and it'll be interesting to see how that crossover game goes for them.
And almost a turnover. Matt Youngs finally gets it stripped by Collins. Speaking of interesting non-conference matchups, Geneva has one looming in early February. And there's a bucket for the Reds, as they're going to step outside of conference and kind of test themselves against a potential sectional opponent in Aquinas. I think you mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, Aquinas is off to a nice start this year. They're 5-2. They obviously had the great team last year. And, they kind of reloaded this year with some newer kids. They lost the Valente kid to Canisius. But Aquinas is, they're going to be right there, and they're going to have a say in the Class A sectionals this year.
That is February 1st, so we get a look at the Red Fox. Looks like he's trying to hit on a cheerleader over there. I think she's unsuspecting, however. And what's really interesting, too, is you look at Geneva and Wayne, and there's 9 teams in the Finger Lakes East. You play everybody twice. They're playing at the end of the cycle, if you will, in the season schedule. So they're going to play on Friday night. That'll be rounding out the first round through, and they'll play in the last game of the regular season. So that sets up for maybe winner take all.
Sure.
On February 14th on Valentine's Day at Wayne. Now the matchup on Friday is going to be at Geneva.
Yeah, if things play out like they did during the first half of the regular season here, that could be a matchup. Obviously somebody's going to win that game Friday, but the other team will have a chance to redeem themselves on that Valentine's Day in February.
Jamie Rosser was trying to go in and score, and good hustle to get back from Diaz. Upstate Hoops podcast covering high school and Syracuse basketball Thursday nights at 9 o'clock on Finger Lakes TV with Matt on Jim Sinacropi, who's working the game tonight, Brad Connor. And Syracuse able to get not the prettiest of wins at South Florida, but a win nonetheless on Sunday.
Yeah, they really had that one big run that kind of put the game away, but not a very pretty offensive game for the Orange.
And I know a lot of people say, South Florida plays really good defense. Syracuse missed a lot of open shots in that game.
Yeah.
And I do continue to be concerned about Michael Carter-Williams' inability to finish. But when you have that great 2-3 zone in the defense, it's always going to keep you in games.
Yeah, Carter Williams 1 for 13 in that game. As they get into the heart of the Big East season, he's going to have to be able to, like you said, finish a little bit better and knock down some shots.
And Dolgus leaves it short with the 3, comes all the way out. Syracuse will be at Providence and then home against Villanova on Saturday. And Camacho is blowing up here in the fourth quarter. Another bucket for Camacho, the 5'10", 165-pound senior. And nearly a steal there. Lorder goes into the corner. And your boy Doduro trying to get to the basket again.
Yeah, I think he's got one thing on his mind. As I said before, when he gets that ball, he's going to the hole. And not sure Coach Miller was real thrilled with the move he attempted on the baseline.
Nothing will top what we saw in the last game we did. Elijah Miner of Naples, who tried so hard to get a basket.
I think he got about 16 shots up in the last minute and a half of that game.
Oh, man. And Coles can't finish on the baseline there with the 10-footer, and Geneva will clear the boards. Minute 20 to go, and Geneva, lead's kind of shrunk a little bit with the bench cleared here, and there's a foul and one as all the way to the basket goes Paul Dingman. And so this margin is going to be probably a little bit closer than this game really was. Again, if you're just joining us, Geneva led by 16 at the half and then scored the first 16 points of the second half and led by 32 at one point in the third quarter.
Yeah, they really put the game away early in the third quarter there. And, Newark's second team here has been playing really well, actually, and I'm sure Coach Miller's not happy with his second team, how they've executed here. But, just another great outing by Geneva. And, great momentum going into that huge game Friday at home against Wayne. And that's going to be interesting.
Talking with Coach Miller, I mentioned before there have been some real lopsided scores. They beat Waterloo 87-27, Mid-Lakes 97-38. I haven't tried to run the score up. It says we're a team that, another thing that's impressed me about this team is that we don't play down to the level of our competition, and we really kind of compete against each other, and that happens on a deep team.
Yeah, and when they get these lopsided wins, Geneva goes 10 deep, so you still got some of those top-tier guys who are out there with the second team, and obviously they're able to keep scoring.
Jack Wallwork scored on one end, and on the other end, Coles gets another basket. Jacob Coles with the hoop. And 73-57, shot clock is off as the Jackets come on for some of the Newark faithful, and a good contingent from Geneva, we might add, over to our left. And 3-ball on the way from Benito Diaz. Can't find the mark. Cole's a little heavy with the right hand with the dribble. And he draws the foul. 9.6 remaining.
Probably the last thing that Geneva faithful wanted to see there was a foul. Just kind of let that one go and inbound the ball and shake hands.
Now another impressive win for Brian Miller and the Geneva Panthers. They're going to move to 8-0 and get ready to take on Wayne on Friday night. While Newark going to head over to Minders in a game that you can catch right here on Finger Lakes 1 TV. And both free throws in there from Coles. He has 6 points in the second half. And Geneva's just going to let the final second tick off. Well, the final margin says 14, but Geneva blows the doors off of Newark here in the third quarter and coasts to a 73-59 win. We'll step aside and be back with your post-game show. See if we can get a Panther to join us next on Finger Lakes 1 TV.
Attention Finger Lakes residents, have you been injured and deserve compensation? Call Madej, Maris, and Ricky, your hometown personal injury attorneys. Your case deserves personal attention. At Madej, Maris, and Ricky, they know you by name, not just a number on a folder. Call the Finger Lakes Personal Injury Hotline at 315-568-0911. That's 315-568-0911. Madej, Maris, and Ricky, your hometown personal injury attorneys.
The Newark Pilots. See tomorrow's Major League stars today. For more information, go to newarkpilots.com.
The most valuable things are always passed down from generation to generation. It's true for your family, and it's true for our bank. For more than 140 years at Generations Bank, we've greeted you by name, planned with you for the future, and stood by you when you needed a hand. It's what we do, and what we'll continue to do for generations into the future. We might look different now, but in the important ways, we're exactly like we've always been. Stop in your local branch or go to mygenbank.com.
And back at Newark High School, 73-59, Geneva Panthers with a 14-point win. And I am joined now by Brian Miller, the head coach of the Geneva Panthers. Brendan Harrington back with you. And, Coach, congratulations on another impressive victory. And, you know, we brought up the point a couple times. There's a team that plays up the road at the Carrier Dome that goes on these big, long, ridiculous runs. Your team had a 16-0 run to open up the third quarter. And I found some similarities there, especially the way your team's able to get up and down the floor. That was impressive.
Well, if we had give us Dewan Coleman and some of those guys, I think I'd feel a little bit better. But, yeah, you know, I always talk to the guys about a lot of, and this team has been great about it, is we measure ourselves against our standards. And we've been really able to take some teams out so far in the league by just maybe not necessarily playing to the level of our opponents, but really getting that momentum going and kind of putting on the gas a little bit more. And I think we did that to start the third quarter. I was very disappointed the way we finished the game, and we've got to get better at that. So I told the guys on the bench I was having a great night. Everyone was playing well, and then you had to go make me mad. I think they're happy I'm up here talking to you instead of in the locker room talking to those guys right now. So.
Well, you know, we talked to the phone a little bit earlier today, and you talked about your team's unselfishness. And, you know, your first 5 field goals are by 5 different guys. I think you had 8 different guys score in the first half. And it really, truly does seem like it's a team that doesn't care who scores as long as you win.
They like each other.
Yeah.
I think that's key. I was coming into the season, I knew we had a lot of returning players, but we had this very talented group of kids coming up from the JVs as well as junior coming over from DeSales. And my biggest concern coming into the season was how our chemistry would be. Was it going to be an us against them, or, you know, and I met with the senior captains before the season in October, and we talked about, hey, we got to get everyone on board. And right from the first day of tryouts, first day of practice, they really have got their arms around these new guys, and because they know, the returning guys know, we need them in order to get to where we want to go. And I think right now, you know, we're clicking pretty good. But, you know, I can let them enjoy this victory on the bus ride on the way home, but I've already got my mind thinking about a game on Friday night.
I thought Shane Sweeney did a nice job. Obviously, it seemed like it was the approach from Newark to guard him closely and play physical. He did a great job of getting to the basket and making his free throws.
Yeah, Shane is a great competitor, a fine athlete, never gets tired. He's strong with the basketball. He makes great decisions. He's a perfect point guard. I'm the dumb one. I should have had him playing point all last year. And then I decided this summer in the summer leagues, I said, I'm going to throw you at the point. And I want you to. He's a quarterback, and he wants to be the quarterback on the floor in the basketball court too. So, you know, he's playing great. I was really impressed with, and I have all the respect in the world for the Newark program. But, you know, they're known as a man-to-man, half-court, great, tough defensive team, and they went box and won. And that, to me, just shows that they were searching for ways to beat us. And to me, that's respect for our team, and we should take that as a compliment.
You know, it seems one of the things we talked about, too, is you can win in a lot of different ways. I mean, you have the shooting from the outside. I think Junior Sims kind of encapsulates that. He can play back to the basket, he can get offensive rebounds and score, and he can step out and hit the three. He's got a pretty good-looking stroke.
He can shoot it out there, but I don't want him doing it too much. I don't want him to think he's a guard, because he's not a guard, but he understands how to play the game. He loves to play. He plays all summer long. He's a great competitor, too. I think he's a little upset at himself now because he turned one over there near the end. And he can body guys. He can play against posts. He can, like you said, I think he adds another dimension to our team, and it gives us another weapon. But like I said, we have a big one on Friday night, and I can't wait to go home and watch film and get ready for that.
Talk a little bit about Wayne. And going into tonight, there's 8 undefeated teams left in Section 5, and 2 of them are going to be going head-to-head, assuming they took their business against Whitman.
I hope we have a great crowd. I really want to. I think that the city of Geneva's just got to get behind these guys. They work very hard. I want to have a good crowd on Friday night. Wayne's a great team with an outstanding point guard. They're solid. They have a lot of different guys that can score, too. As long as we take care of the ball, they live off turnovers, and that's been one of our great things all year is we have not turned the ball over much. If we continue to value the possessions and take care of the basketball, I think we'll be in the game anyway. I think it's going to be a great game. So if anyone's around there Friday night at 7:30, come to Geneva. You're going to see a great high school basketball game.
Well, Coach, it's a fun team to watch, and I'm sure it's a fun team to coach, and we're going to enjoy watching you go through this journey here the rest of the way.
Thanks, Brendan.
Congratulations. That's the head coach for the Geneva Panthers, Brian Miller. He's going to go take care of business with his team, and we'll recap some of the leading scorers for you. 3 players in double figures for Geneva tonight, led by Sweeney with 19. Sims finishes with 17, and then 14 points from Akia Jackson, leading another example of a balanced attack for Geneva. Meanwhile, for Newark, 3 players in double figures, 12 from Lombardi, who had a really nice game. Rosser finishes with 10, and then Ron Derek Morris with 11 as we welcome back in Matt Verkey. And Matt, impressive performance by Geneva. Only so many ways we can say it, but
yeah, it was, and we talked about it all game. Just very impressed with their depth. They change up defenses offensively. They're very versatile. They get a lot of guys in there. They got a lot of interchangeable parts, and we talked about it during the broadcast that that game Friday night obviously huge, and Geneva is going to be a big factor in the Class A this year, and just another great all-around game by Geneva. And we talked about they really share the ball. They don't turn it over a lot. They shoot it well from 3. They made their free throws tonight. Really nothing that you can say where they did anything poorly tonight. They seemed to play well in all phases of the game and came out with another easy victory.
Well, thanks very much again to our sponsors, Madej, Miris, and Ricky, Generations Bank, the Newark Pilots, Dr. Rod Littlejohn, and Market Alternatives Insurance. Jim Sinacropi, your producer and director today. Jeremy Hunt on camera. And for Matt Verkey, I'm Brendan Harrington. Impressive performance from the Panthers, 73-59 over the Newark Pilots tonight. Have a good one, and good night from Newark.